Hi you guys, I have filmed this video or variations of this video so many times, and I'm finally going to film this and upload it to give you an update on everything that's happening. Some of you saw a video that I did a little while back where I mentioned that we were moving, and then I just didn't do a video to explain everything that's happened. So let me tell you, I'm taking Monica over to day camp right now, but we are moving to Florida. And if you've watched my vlog videos over the years, there have been several where I take you with me to Florida to see my family. My brother lives there, my brother and sister-in-law, and then my niece and her husband. Another niece of mine lives in Maryland, but they're going to be moving to Florida in about a year when her husband's Navy contract is up. And so anyway, so how did this come about? Well, John had always wanted to move somewhere outside of Arizona because, with the exception of his first 2 years of life, he's lived in Arizona, and for 3/4 of his life, he's lived in Flagstaff. So he's always wanted to go somewhere different. And every time we go to Florida, he's always like, oh man, it would be so nice to live here. And so this past winter, we had a whopper of a winter, man. You know, I'm in the mountains in northern Arizona, and we normally get 100 inches of snow on average. That's what Flagstaff gets. We have not had anything close to that in probably a decade. But anyway, this last winter, it all caught up to us because we got, I don't know, I've heard two different reports. I've heard that we had over 11 feet of snow, and then I've also heard that we had 14 feet of snow. I'm not sure which it was, but it was a lot. And we also normally get the bulk of our snow in the early spring, which means for us here that it will snow a ton, but then it warms up above freezing anyway, and then the snow melts. So even if we get 3 feet of snow at one time, within a couple of days, most of it's gone. Well, this year we got a lot of our snow in January and February, and it was just cold. So the snow never went away. There were like 12-foot piles of snow on the sides of the roads where the plows had pushed the snow. It was just paralyzing to the city. And classes kept getting canceled at NAU, and I was offering my students classes on Zoom so that they could get the information they needed to become teachers. And so, yeah, one time we had a really bad storm and our power went out for 14 hours. I had little blanket caves all over my living room for Monica and Chad and Mary so they could stay warm. I remember Chad coming over to me, and he's sort of like standing in my lap and looking at me like, excuse me, excuse me, do you realize that we're cold? So he was like the animal sentinel in our house, making the announcement that everyone was uncomfortable. So I made them these little caves, and they all snuggled up and got warm. And yeah, that was a chilly day. So after the second big storm, and in the second big storm, we got an ice dam on our house, which means that the heat from inside the house melted the snow on top of the house, and then it formed an ice like wall. It was 7 inches. I remember it happened in just a couple of days. On a Sunday, there was no ice at all. I was checking the eaves of the house, and there was no snow. And then by Wednesday, when I came home from work, there were these huge icicles hanging, and I thought, oh no, what happened? And I went outside, and there was a 7-inch wall of ice around the edge of the house. And then what happens is that the snow above it melts, and then it can't drain anywhere, and so it forms like a big pool of water behind that wall of ice, and then it can push up underneath the shingles, and it did, and came into our bedroom. I discovered it at 10:30 at night. I heard dripping, and I thought, what could be melting outside? I mean, it's below freezing. Why is anything dripping? And I opened up the shutters and looked, and the water was coming in on the inside of the window. So yeah, that was a little interesting. We didn't have to do anything about it at that point. We couldn't. We just had to turn on the heat tape, which is like a little cable that warms up and then melts a little bit of a hole so the water has somewhere to go. And we got the water to stop within about 20 minutes. But that was pretty bad. The next day my mom called and she said, I think I'm ready to go to Florida. So I thought, well, she'll change her mind. And she didn't. And so, sorry about the weird light here. I'm doing the best I can to not have it be on my face. Anyway, so she didn't change her mind, and we had another big storm after that. So we had lots of small storms and then 3 really big ones. And my mom was just a shut-in because, you know, she was just afraid to go anywhere. Her street, you know, our streets just weren't plowed, and they were trying to keep the main streets open, but the neighborhood streets were unplowed, and so, you know, I couldn't even get out. John was able to get out with the truck to go to work, but many days I could not get out with my little hybrid car. So we started to think about moving to Florida, and we thought originally that we would go, like, we'd spend one more nice summer in Flagstaff and then sell our house in the fall, maybe like end of summer, move in September, and miss out on the Florida summer. And then all of these things started to happen where we were like, oh gosh, we're gonna miss the best time for selling our house. We don't know how long it will take John to get a job. Then we didn't really consider the fact that we couldn't qualify for a mortgage without John having a job in the state of Florida, because every house that we've bought has been in Arizona, so we haven't had that situation. So then when he applied for a job, then he started getting interviews right away, and we were thinking, oh my gosh, this is happening way faster than we thought. So we decided to bump it up. We put our house on the market the beginning of May, right after the semester ended. And so listen to how fast this went. The house went on the market on a Thursday. We got an offer on Friday. We got another offer on Saturday. We made our decision who we were going to sell our house to on Sunday. Monday morning, John gets offered a job, and Monday afternoon, my mom's house sold. So it was just so fast. Then we went out to Florida the end of May to house hunt, and it was like God had picked out 2 houses for us that we were supposed to have, because everything we looked at wasn't right, except for these 2 houses that happened to be 2 miles away from each other and about 20 minutes away from my brother. So yeah, we have houses, and we're moving in just a few weeks. So my house is a disaster right now. We've sold most of our furniture. We just figured our mountain town kind of feel for our decor just isn't going to fly in Florida, so we have gotten rid of most of it. I'm sitting on patio furniture in my living room, and yeah, it's all coming very fast. I have 2 rooms in the house completely packed. I have I'm planning to get the dining room and the decor in the living room packed up today. And then we go, then the next big job, it's probably going to take me more than one day, is going to be the craft room. And John's working on the garage in his studio hobby place. And then we get to the big stuff when we have to get to the kitchen and the master bedroom and bathroom. So, and then, so my niece is so sweet, and she's coming out a couple days before we leave, and she's going to drive my mom's car. So we're going to have me in this car with the 2 cats. We're going to have Ashley in my mom's car with my mom and her dog, and then John in his car with Monica. And we'll be taking 4 days and driving across the country. So yeah, it's so weird. You know, the NAU thing, I was really hoping to go back to NAU for another year anyway. I was actually even kind of thinking it'd be nice to be back there for maybe 5 years. And then my dean was just not saying that there was going to be anything for me to come back to. I was on an emergency hire for 1 year, and we had a search, and we hired 2 people. And so she was just kind of saying, yeah, no. And I said, so there's no circumstance by which there would be a job for me. No. So I thought, well, okay, start planning my future. And then I went to tell my department chair, thank you, you know, it was a great year, thanks so much for bringing me back. And he says, oh yeah, the dean wants to bring you back next year. I'm like, well, would have been nice if she'd told me that, because we're moving. You know, I mean, I think that this is a good move for us. I think it's a good thing that we're doing this. You don't have to shovel sunshine, and so it'll be a much safer environment for my mom, and just good for all of us as a family to live in the same area. So I'm not lamenting that I missed out on going back to NAU, but if my dean had offered me something in January, then probably my mom would not have even said anything about moving to Florida. So, you know, it probably would have changed everything. But it just goes to show you that this is the plan that God has for us. So I'm starting to get really sentimental about stuff. When we had our last department meeting, my friends Pam and Vicky, who I've mentioned on numerous occasions. Vicky's the one who went through breast cancer treatment, and Vicky and Pam and I were young faculty together at NAU for 20 years. And, well, we weren't young the whole 20 years, but at the beginning we were. And so we had this thing at the end. It was kind of a goodbye to Pam. She was the associate. She had become the associate dean, and now she got a dean position at a university in Utah. And Vicky's still going to be at NAU for another few years. And then, of course, they were saying goodbye to me. And so we were just telling funny stories about our time together at NAU. And I was just reflecting on just what good friends we have been to each other for all these years. And now the 3 of us are going our separate ways. And I'm excited about it, you know, a new adventure and what the future holds. And I haven't lived in the same state as my brother since I was 14. So I'm looking forward to I've seen him a lot of times over the years, but we've just never been in a place where we're just living life, you know. It's always been that we're on vacation, or he's on vacation coming to see us. And so that'll be a really good thing. I know that there will be new friends to make, new things to do, new adventures to be had. And it's all unknown, but it's exciting too. So, okay, so the house we bought is in Palm Harbor, Florida, and it's outside of Tampa. Like, outside of Tampa on the Gulf is Clearwater, which a lot of people I'm finding are familiar with. and then Palm Harbor is kind of like a suburb of Clearwater, and so we're about 2.5 miles from the beach, I guess, and we got a house that is much smaller than the house we're currently in. We were just having a hard time finding homes. We found a lot of homes weeks before we went out there that would have been great for us, but then of course they sold. And so we got a house that is significantly smaller, like 600 square feet smaller, but it has all the spaces we need. And the best part of it is that it has this beautiful outdoor living space. It has a saltwater swimming pool, a hot tub, a big pergola, a pizza oven. And even though this house is in a regular neighborhood, it's not a rural area, it's just a regular neighborhood, the house comes with 4 chickens. Yes, we're gonna have chickens. So it's got a chicken coop and a chicken yard, and they said, I suppose they would have figured out something to do with the chickens if whoever bought it didn't want them, but I thought, well, this will be fun. So I bought books about chickens, and I'm learning about them, and I'm sending questions through my realtor to the people, just asking questions about how they care for them, and so that's going to be something interesting to show you guys. But yeah, it's a lovely home. We're getting rid of a lot of stuff because it is a smaller house, and so it's, just not going to hold as much stuff. Like last night I was packing up a lot of silver that we have that came from my grandmother, and a few pieces from my mother-in-law, and then I had purchased some silver pieces, like serving pieces, and I had purchased them not brand new. My mother-in-law and I used to go garage sailing, and my pieces that I had gotten were really nice pieces, but the silver was looking ratty on it. And so I picked out about, 7 or 8 pieces that I'm just gonna get rid of because they're not sentimental to the family. I just bought them at a garage sale, and because we're just not gonna have the space for it. So when we get there, I will film so that you guys can meet the chickens, but also see the house. That we have a lot of projects we want to do. The house is in really nice shape, but we want new appliances. And in Florida, in Florida they call a porch a lanai, and then a lot of people in Florida have these big screened structures that go over even the swimming pool, and that's just because there's a lot of bugs. And so we're going to have one of those built. They kind of refer to it as bird cage, I guess. And so we're going to have that done. We're going to rip out a lot of the stuff in the garage and put in new cabinets, and there's just different projects we're going to be doing. So you will see the house in various states of disrepair until we get it all fixed the way we want it to be. So you can see Monica is very excited to go inside. And so yeah, I'm going to end this. I'm going to put this out there for you guys, and I will be in touch in coming weeks to let you know what's going on.